Okay, let's just forget everything you think you know about biology for a second. Seriously, we're not going to talk about squishy cells or weird chemicals today. We're talking about information. We're talking about software. Because you see, at its very core, DNA, it's not just the molecule of life, it's the most sophisticated, most elegant information system we've ever discovered. And that's not me being poetic, that is a hard, functional reality.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. I mean, Bill Gates, a guy who knows a thing or two about code, right? He put it perfectly. This one idea, this single concept that DNA is a program, that is the absolute key to unlocking everything we're about to talk about. It's not just some nice metaphor, it's the actual framework for how life itself is built and how it runs.
All right, let's try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this. The information density is just insane. You can forget about your terabyte hard drives. I want you to imagine taking every single piece of digital data on Earth. I'm talking every email, every cat video, every single website, all of it. Now, what if you could encode all of that into DNA? Well, all of it would fit inside a single coffee cup. Just let that sink in. That's a level of efficiency that is just, it's mind-boggling.
Okay, so if DNA is a code, if it's a language, how do you read it? Well, like any language, you have to start with the alphabet. But here's the crazy part. Instead of 26 letters, the entire language of life is written with just 4. And these 4 letters, they're the foundation for, well, everything. So every single piece of this massive, sprawling code is built from this one simple little structure, the nucleotide. The easiest way to think about it is like a single Lego brick. It's got 3 little parts, but the one we really care about, the part that's the business end of this thing, is the nitrogen base. That's where the actual information is stored.
And here they are, the 4 letters of life's alphabet, A, G, C, and T. That's it, 4. The entire instruction manual for building you, me, a giant blue whale, or a microscopic bacterium, it's all written using just these 4 little characters. It's incredible, right? The magic isn't in the letters themselves, of course. It's all about the sequence, the order they're in.
But here's the thing. These letters don't just line up in any old way. No, they follow a really strict and honestly kind of beautiful set of rules. It's super simple. A will only ever pair up with T, and G will only ever pair up with C. That's the law. This simple rule is the entire foundation for that famous double helix structure. And as we're about to see, it's the secret sauce that lets DNA copy itself so perfectly.
So what's the point of having this incredible master code if you can't copy it, right? It'd be useless. Think about it. Every single time one of your cells divides, it needs a perfect, flawless backup of the entire software package. This amazing process is called replication, and it's just this elegant piece of nanomachinery at work. So let's break down exactly how it does it.
It all goes down in 4 really simple but totally brilliant steps. First, this little enzyme called helicase comes along and acts like a zipper, just unzipping the 2 strands of the double helix. Then, each of those now separated strands becomes a template, like a mold. After that, another enzyme, polymerase, swoops in. Its job is to read the template and start adding the right matching letters. A to T, G to C, following those rules we just learned. And what's the end result? Boom. 2 perfect, identical copies of the original DNA. It's amazing. Okay, up to now, this has been pretty clever, right? But this next part, this is where the system goes from just being clever to being absolute genius. Look, making billions of copies of a code is one thing, but what happens when there's a typo, an error? I mean, any computer programmer will tell you a single wrong character can crash an entire program. So how on earth does life deal with that? And that is a critical question. Because a random mutation, a tiny little error, could have disastrous consequences. We're talking diseases, or even worse. So you've got to wonder, does the code have some kind of spell checker? Well, turns out it has something way, way better. The secret is built-in redundancy. See, the code isn't read 1 letter at a time. It's read in little 3-letter words, and these are called codons. And here's the really elegant part. You can have several different codons that all mean the exact same thing. They all call for the exact same amino acid. So what does that do? It acts like a shock absorber, a buffer against mutations. Let's take a real-world example. There's an amino acid called leucine. Okay, so if the code reads CTA, the cell knows to make leucine. Simple enough. But what if there's a typo? A mutation changes that last letter from an A to a T. So now the codon is CTT.
In most computer software, that would be a fatal error. Game over. But in our DNA, the cell just shrugs and still makes leucine. It's an incredibly robust system, specifically designed to make sure small errors don't cause a catastrophe. All right, so just when you think this whole thing can't possibly get any more complex, it does. Because beyond just this brilliant error protection, the DNA code has these other layers of information. Layers that, honestly, scientists are only just beginning to wrap their heads around. And one of the most mind-blowing features is an incredible form of data compression. It's just astonishing. We're finding out that some genes are literally nested inside of other genes. The code can be read forwards to mean one thing, and then you can read it backwards or just shift the reading frame by one letter, and it means something completely different. Think about that. It's like having a sentence that reads as a perfectly good story forwards, and then you read it backwards, and it's a different, but still perfectly good story. That kind of information compression is something we've never seen anywhere else. It's just, wow. So, all of this incredible complexity has led some researchers to ask a very, very direct question. And this comes right from the source material we're looking at. They say, look, when we see systems that have all these features, a language, proofreading nanomachines, information-rich code, where do things like that usually come from? What does our universal everyday experience tell us about their origin?
And really, that brings us to the final thought here. We've walked through how DNA isn't just a molecule, it's a software program. It's a code that is elegantly written, flawlessly copied, and has these brilliant protections against errors built right in. The source material kind of boils it all down to this one idea. A code suggests a coder. So after seeing the sheer sophistication, the elegance of this system, the final question is, what does the code of life suggest to you?